Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Confidence Mindset with Amanda. And in this video, I want to talk a bit about the belief within ourselves, deciding what it is that we want, and coming to the acceptance that we are allowed to have what it is that we want, to be consistent in our life, to stay in our life. When we manifest it, we are allowed to keep it into our lives. And the reason why I want to bring this topic up is because when we get into conscious manifesting, we know we are creating with our thoughts. We know that we have to be disciplined, and we know that we have to redirect our awareness to what it is that we want, to dwell on what it is that we want, rather than the way that we have previously lived and fallen into the whole kind of negative way of having this kind of little bit of a victim mentality. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the victim mentality that we have been accustomed to know throughout our life is reinforced through society, because we have been brought up in a way in society to understand that we have to be humble. And when we look at the past with philosophers like Aristotle and all these philosophers that brought out the whole virtue ethics and everything, because we were to learn all these way of being so that we could be civil to one another in society. And while that is right, and this is why we have governments, this is why we have laws, and we have all these things to keep us in a civil way of being. But when we get into conscious manifesting, there is then this unconscious kind of way of being, of feeling in a sense that maybe we're not allowed to have everything that we want because of how we have been brought up in society, and because of how we have been told that we have to be humble, and told that if you're overly confident you're seen as cocky, or all these type of negative beliefs that we learn along the way as we grow older. Now, when we get into conscious manifesting, this is where it can be a little bit of a struggle to overcome the whole morale of it all, because we have to get into this kind of this knowing within ourselves, but this confidence and unshakable belief within ourselves to know that when we decide that we want to create something in our life, it's going to happen, and that's it. And this is what we learn when we get into conscious manifesting, and what I'm trying to kind of convey on my channel is the confidence, is the belief within yourself, because this is the only way that we tend to maintain and sustain our manifestations. As I say before, we can all, like, manifesting what we want is not the problem. It's sustaining it and maintaining it in our life in such a way that we are believing in ourselves and knowing that we are going to be consistent with what it is that we want. So it's like, if you look to the greatest athletes and all that, like, their greatest work is in their training. It's not when they're on the basketball pitch or when they're on the football pitch or whatever, and they make that one goal in that split second. No, it's the training. It's all what they're doing behind the scenes that gets them to that level of winning and all, and it gets them to that level of scoring the goals and things that they want to do in their life, what they want to experience in their life as an athlete. And when we get into conscious manifesting, this is why it's never about the desire that we're manifesting. It's about us. It's about how we believe in ourselves. How, like, do we believe in ourselves so much that we know that anything is possible for us? Are we building that confidence within ourselves to know that once we decide something, it's going to unfold, and that is it? And when we are brought up in such a way to be humble and all these type of things, which is fine, because yes, we all have to be civil to one another, and yes, we can know in a sense that there's nobody better than anybody. We're all the same, and so we can all do the exact same things. There's nobody, like, even famous people, all these type of things, like, nobody is better than anybody. We can all go out there and do the exact same thing with the right mindset. And this is why when we're in a conscious manifesting, sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle to maintain what it is that we want, because this is what we grapple with then a little bit, because we are desiring all these great things in our life, but we've been told for so long that we're only allowed to be a certain way in society because it's morally wrong to be in any other way. So This is why there was limiting beliefs like, money being the root of all evil and all these type of limiting things that are not true, but they are created, these kind of little limiting beliefs are created around society because of how we have been brought up. And when we get into conscious manifesting, we know that we can redirect it. But because we have learned such a way, I'm not saying that everybody struggles with this, but sometimes there can be a little bit of a struggle, especially when you are somebody who wants to live in a virtuous way, which is fine as well too, because we all want to live in a virtuous way. I'm not knocking down being virtuous, because that is not what I'm even talking about on my channel, because I want to talk about from all the virtues. I want to talk through compassion. I want to be somebody who is leading through compassion, having empathy, and I also want to be, have a bit of humility as well too, but with the understanding that I'm confident enough to know that I can be and do everything that I want if I decide to. And this is then an affirmation that I actually created for myself, which you can use if it's helpful, is I am humble enough to know that I am not better than anybody, but I am confident enough to know that I am the best. And the reason why I made this was because, I was always that type of person who always had to humble myself down, and I was always that type of person who had no confidence in all these. I really just stepped into that identity of not thinking that I was worthy enough or deserving enough or all of these type of things that I used to be. And to get in then to conscious manifesting was kind of a game changer for me, because it changed my whole outlook on life. It changed how I viewed myself, in the sense that I was working on my mindset so much that now I'm kind of, don't get me wrong, I'm still working on my mindset, but as I always will, be a lifestyle thing. But I'm a lot better in my mindset than I was, say, a couple of years ago, when I would have no confidence and I would not believe in myself or all of these type of things. Now, I did always have a kind of a thing in myself that I always knew that if I did something I could achieve it, but at the same time I would be struggling along the way with, anxieties and all these type of things of wondering if I was going to achieve it. And that's not what we want to do when we are manifesting. And so when we are consciously manifesting, we want to come into that idea of being ourselves in such a way that it's okay to have everything that we want, and knowing that it's actually it's a given virtue to ourselves. We're honoring ourselves, we're honoring our life here on this earth by allowing ourselves to experience what it is that we want, but also allowing ourselves to just decide that what we want is ours, and nobody can tell us any different. It doesn't matter what anybody says or thinks, because I'm humble enough to know that I'm not better than you anyway, but I'm also confident enough to know that I am the best of my reality, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to achieve exactly what I want, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me any different. And this is the kind of mindset that we want to adapt when we're in conscious manifesting. And I was watching a video from Dylan James there recently, and he had this kind of video as well too about, you have to have that conviction within yourself. But something stood out to me as well too, and he said that he had some clients or whatever that were saying that something about that people may think it's weird if I'm listening to affirmations at night or doing breath work or doing all these things to redirect my mind. And the reason why I think that people have this kind of feeling that people, that they live with and things like that may think that they're weird, is because of this whole virtue thing, and because of this whole morale thing, that when we are in society, it's like it's frowned upon to be overly confident in yourself. You're seen as somebody who is thinking too much of themselves, which is totally wrong. We're not, that's totally wrong. It's a limiting belief, but it's just the way society has kind of routinely structured us in such a way. Because when we get into school and we get into college and we get into corporate jobs and all these things, there's a tendency to humble ourselves down so that we are accepted into these environments, accepted into these ways of being. And so because we do this, then we find ourselves then not having the courage then to separate ourselves from the ones who may think that we're weird because we're listening to listening to affirmations at night, or doing breath work, or doing things that are seen as something out of the ordinary for the way society has been and still is in certain environments. And so this really stood out to me when I was listening to this video of Dylan James. You can watch it now. I think he posted it last night or something, or a couple of days ago or whatever. But it just really stood out to me, because I think that this is one of the things that people actually do struggle with consciously, with maintaining their manifestations in their life, because it's not talked about a lot in this whole law of attraction, assumption community or whatever. But and it's actually something that should be talked about. We should be normalizing this whole idea of creating your life with your thoughts, because we're always creating our lives with our thoughts. And then, if we are doing things for ourselves, we should be confident enough to be able to sleep with affirmations and things like that on at night, with people around who are not thinking that it's normal to be this way. Because if we are setting that kind of tone, that we are doing all these things and then we're getting everything that we want in our life, the other person's going to start seeing that, and then they're going to start thinking, oh, you know what, it's not actually that weird then, obviously, to listen to affirmations at life, or at night. Look at how great they're doing in their life. They're actually creating what they want in their life through their thoughts. Maybe I'll give this a go, and then the more we do that, we're actually reinforcing that into society, which should be the kind of way that everything should go. And I know that, I know that it can be hard to do this, but if we just build our confidence and our courage daily, if we just get into the mindset of knowing that it is okay to have exactly what you want in your life, knowing that it's okay to experience what it is that you want in your life, knowing that if you have a desire for something, you're going to experience it. And conscious manifesting then, for me, is like a personal development process in a way to actualizing all these experiences in your life, but not so much even just manifesting. That's why I never really talk about the whole idea of manifesting specific things, because it's not the desire that you're manifesting, because you can manifest anything. This is why we can manifest anything even when we're in a low self-concept. We can manifest anything when we are frustrated. And look at, I've done this. I've manifested things in my life when I wasn't in the best self-concept. I still manifested things from my thoughts and that, but it's about maintaining it and sustaining it in your life. And how are you going to ever maintain and sustain the desires in your life if you don't have that courage to do it, if you don't have the courage to believe in yourself, to separate yourself from others who are saying things like, it's weird to listen to affirmations at night, or it's weird to be doing breath work, or it's weird, conscious manifesting is weird, or whatever. People are looking and saying you're creating things from your thoughts, or saying it's delusional to believe in something that you don't see, and all of these negative kind of limiting beliefs that are out there that can cause us to grapple a little bit with the whole humility of conscious manifesting. And conscious manifesting is the way that we all live, because we're creating everything with our thoughts. Everything is coming from our thoughts. I can't even speak here without having a thought about speaking. So everything is done from our thoughts. And when we're in society, so we're kind of programmed in such a way, because of how things that we have learned, but we can overcome it by redirecting our mindset to a different awareness, to the awareness on the things that we actually want to experience. And so this means that we have to develop the courage and belief within ourselves to know that it's okay to step outside of the comfort zone of being a certain way in society, just so that we can be accepted by our friends, family, or co-workers, or whatever it is, to know that we are allowed to step out of this way of being, to have the courage that if somebody turns around and thinks that that you're too cocky for being overly confident, that you are weird because you are thinking about creating something in your mind that nobody else can see, that all of these negative limiting beliefs, to have the courage to know that to be able to believe in yourself in such a way to keep going, to have the courage to know that it doesn't matter what anybody else is saying, because I am humble enough to know that I'm not better than anyone, but I'm confident enough to know that I am the best, and to keep that kind of within our mindset, to know that we are the best in our reality, because we have to believe that we're the best in our reality to achieve everything that we want. But at the same time, we all want to come from this loving environment as well too. We want to be leading through, with compassion. We want to have empathy. We want to live a virtuous life, because I know I want to be virtuous, and that is why I kind of struggle as well too sometimes with that idea, of having everything that you want, because like there's people, like people who are less off and things like that, and we do struggle with all these ideas and things like that. But it's like, when you learn something, then teach somebody else about it, and be patient with somebody else as well too, to allow them to come to the acceptance as well too, that they can create everything they want. So if you are into conscious manifesting, and you are creating desires and things like that for your life, and you know that somebody who is dear to you in your life is maybe struggling or whatever, like, you can pinpoint this idea to them, and but in a compassionate way, to have the patience with our friends, with friends and family and co-workers, and that, to understand that everybody will get there at a certain time, but it's just kind of accepting where everybody is at the moment, and continuing to do what we want, what we are doing with our conscious thoughts, and believing in ourselves in such a way so that we can maintain and sustain our desires in our reality, because that's the life we deserve to live, and it's the life that everyone deserves to live. And it's just sometimes when we come from an environment and things like that, it can cause us to fall back into that environment when we are having conversations with people about politics and negative things that are going on in the world, and we know that we don't really want to be reinforcing all of these conversations into our mind when we are consciously manifesting, because we're kind of trying to redirect our awareness into a different kind of way of seeing things, and a different kind of way of being. So I will leave that video there. I just wanted to make a quick video on that whole idea, because as I say, it did stand out to me that Dylan James having clients that were saying that to him about people's going to think it's weird when listening to affirmations at night, and that kind of made me feel, it made me feel a little bit sad, because like, it's like, when you're in conscious manifesting, like, you just feel like everybody is into this kind of thing, and I suppose then there's a lot of people who aren't, and then it's to understand that as well, but to have the courage to keep going, and to know that you to get to the level that you want to get to, you have to have the courage to overcome all this, and to have the confidence and belief within yourself that that it doesn't matter what anybody is saying or whatever or doing around you. They're all still going to be there, because they're your friends, your family, your co-workers, whatever, and everyone loves you just as you are. It doesn't matter. And to just keep continuing to develop your mindset in such a way so that you can live the best life that you desire to live. So I'll leave that video there, and you can like, comment and subscribe if you wish, and I will chat to you soon.